ಬಿಗಿಯಾಗಿ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿದ್ವಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಾವು.
I am joined by someone who I absolutely adore in Kannada cinema. He's someone who we had such a wonderful chat last year for 777 Charlie, and now he's got such a fantastic release as well, SSE Part B, which has released in cinemas and is doing fantastically well. So, Doctor, thank you so much for joining me, and a huge congratulations.
Thank you, Anuj. Pleasure being here.
Pleasure is always mine, Rakshit. Okay, so look, I think side A and side B, there's a complete contrast, but yet we can kind of see that trajectory pretty much there. I think for your preparation for side B, however, though, you did say that you had to put on extra weight and stuff like that. Talk to me about the sort of shift in mindset of your character when it goes in from side A to side B.
Well, Side A was a character who was completely in love with the girl, obviously, and then in the sense, see, if you look at it in a certain way, Side A, most of my scenes were with another character, like my emotions had to be shared with somebody else, so there was always a give and take. For example, my scenes with Priya, so the way I perform was completely dependent on the way she performs. And although it was very, we were, Hemanth had a workshop with both of us, and we were prepared, even before, because the story doesn't start with they falling in love. They're already in love. The movie starts with they already being in love for quite a few years. So we had a workshop, to develop that chemistry before we go on set, because right from the first scene we are supposed to be sharing that chemistry. And my performance was completely dependent on Priya's performance, and probably it was vice versa as well, because it was sharing. What we spoke through our eyes mattered a lot, and it was between the action and cut, we were completely into that character. Whereas if you observe side B, it is more of me being in solace, contemplating my own guilt factors and how do I correct myself. So in side B, he carries a lot of guilt. In side A, the guilt grows, and by the end only he realizes that this is not working. I'm stuck here for decade, and probably she should move on. So until then, I'm hopeful. My character is hopeful throughout the film that someday he'll come out. Someday he'll get to live his dream with his girl. Whereas side B is more of he has spoiled his life, but that is fine with him. But he has spoiled some of the life too. Life of a girl whom he completely adores, and he loves her to the moon and back.
Sure.
And after spoiling her life, how does he correct it? How can he correct it? How can he come out of that guilt? Is the whole journey about, right?
Sure. Absolutely. Now, what I loved, because as I mentioned to you, I watched Side B first in cinema, and then I ended up revisiting Side A. And I think we've seen that journey of his, like I mentioned in the question as well, of how there was a sense of innocence in the first one. He was naive. But then I think in the second one, you could feel that he is a very scorned, but a very broken man.
Yeah.
And I think what I really loved about you, and when I rang you as well after I watched the film, is I absolutely loved the way you had that internal pain and the way you really expressed that through your emotions, through your body language, your eyes as well. For you, when you are playing someone who is very emotionally damaged, someone who is broken, how do you emote that on screen? I mean, it must be very challenging for you as an actor to do that.
Well, luckily, I've always told this, that for me, life and cinema goes together. And luckily, during that time, that phase of my life, when I did right from the second half of Triple Seven Charlie until Sapta Saagaradaache Ello Side B,
Hmm.
I was in a very in a different mode, as in my personal life, where I was too much into meditation, and trying to find myself, or doing all the unlearning thing what I've picked up in last 10 years in the industry,
Hmm.
things like that. I wanted, before I got on to Richard Anthony, I wanted to get back to what I was. We have a star called Upendra, and he had told me once, when I had made my first directorial debut, Ulidavaru Kandanthe, and I had gone to meet him to show the trailer. He had told me once that, as the year goes by, without your knowledge, we get corrupted in cinema.
Hmm.
In the sense, looking at the box office result, and we are all competing with each other. Because of all that, somewhere artist in us gets corrupted.
Hmm.
And so I had promised myself that I will never get corrupted when it comes to cinema. But then I realized after Triple Seven Charlie, we had a COVID break. During the second half of Triple Seven Charlie, and when I wanted to write my few of my scripts, which I had in mind, which is Richard Anthony, Punyakoti, and Midway to Moksha. So when I was writing this, every time I crossed that interval mark, I got stuck, and I couldn't free flow. I couldn't write free flowly, like how I used to before. And I realized there is some problem which I didn't have before. So then the only way I could resolve that problem was by closing my eyes and seeing what it is. So I went into a very meditative zone, and I started seeing every thought of mine and things like that. And during that phase, I saw a phase which I had not seen all my life, where just thoughts erupt such in such intensity, and you're surprised that you have so many thoughts inside you that you never knew. There's so many emotions inside you which you never knew, and somehow it gave me a perspective of what Manu might be going through there.
Sure.
In the sense, multiplied by like 15 or 20 times, then probably it is Manu. So it gave me a picture of how it is like to be in Manu's shoes, especially at the side B. Manu I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So I exaggerated that a little bit, while shooting, and yeah, that's how I
Hmm.
could.
Yeah, it was very compelling. It was very compelling. I think the way you did it, it was very ऐसा लग नहीं रहा था कि आप acting कर रहे थे. It was very much quite authentic, and I think that's what I really resonated a lot with it. But it's quite interesting because you did a role, I think, what, 10 years back with Tughlaq. Well, I think your character Raghu in that was quite an angry young man.
Hmm.
In a way, there's certain shades of that anger that's there in Manu as well. But at the same time, there is obviously that same compassion and there's that rough exterior. And I feel like if there is, I mean, even if you look at Triple Seven Charlie, which by the way, a huge congratulations for on the National Film Award. I was very happy when that won. That was
Thank you.
amazing. Even your character in that as well. There was that rough edge as well, on the character, which obviously does have a very soft side. And I know you mentioned it a bit briefly about, what you went through in your life and all of that. But what do you think gives directors that confidence in you as an artist to carry out these roles, which are kind of rough, which have a rough exterior to them? What do you think it is that really attracts them to you?
Uh, well, I think you should ask Hemanth Rao that. I mean, for some reason, every script he writes, he says that he has me in mind. Probably that's because we have worked when he did his debut, Godhi Banna Sadharana Mykattu. I played one of the leads with Anantnag sir, and probably that experience what he had with me, working with me. Also, I can talk about Hemanth Rao. But other directors, I don't know. But Hemanth Rao, So probably because of the chemistry what we had, during that film, and probably we have a same perspective about cinema. Our the way he looks at cinema and the way I look at cinema is very similar that way, and we both love the art magnificently. So probably that's what connect us the most.
And I think the beautiful thing, and I told Hemant this as well, is that this character could have gone completely wrong in that sense.
I know.
Right? It could have been a complete toxic character who is very much, who completely loses his mind. I mean, of course, he loses his mind in a different way, but he doesn't basically make a girl or a woman suffer that because of his emotions. And I think that was a very wonderfully crafted piece of character, because I think it's so rare we see that in Indian cinema. And I think, how important would you say it is for, these sort of Romeo type characters, these very love struck characters, male characters, which have a lot of grief and anger inside them, to actually make sure they're done in a balanced manner? I know from a writer's and director's perspective, I can ask Hemant when I do his interview, but I would love to know for you as an actor how important it is to carry out these roles without it veering into toxic masculinity.
In the sense, I think, it is very important, because see, as soon as you are making an art and showing it to the world, I think there is a kind of responsibility which you carry. So it's very important, first of all, not to give a wrong idea, first of all, to the audience, and make people like a character which is, if you watch Side B, there Manu is actually literally following a girl without her knowledge. He's stalking her, if you look at it in a certain way. But because his mindset, because that he's doing it only to reduce his guilt and for the love what he has for the girl, and he only means good for her, and he does everything for her without even her getting to know that he's doing all that. So as you said, there is a very fine balance where you have to be very sure of what you are making that character do, and probably Hemant is a very responsible guy that way. I mean, he thinks 100 times before even writing a dialogue for a character. I to be frank, because once I got into the shoes of Manu, I didn't want to judge that character. I just wanted to be in the character and do everything what my director says, and completely trusting the director.
Sure, absolutely. And I think what I really love is, I think the sort of content that you've produced, I think there's a sense of simplicity a lot in the stuff you sort of back and you choose to star in as well. People, I think, have called you the simple star. I think that's the sort of label that you have. So tell me again.
I don't carry it in my films, but yeah.
And that's the beauty about it, Rakshit, trust me. But again, when we talk about simplicity, because मैंने वो चीज notice किया है आपके जो गिने चुने films जो मैंने देखे हैं आपके, there is a sense of sadgi, there is a sense of simplicity where you're not making this very big hoo-ha statement about heroism or larger than life heroes. Again, simplicity, ये जो आपकी जो simplicity है, ये कहाँ से root हुई है आपकी, and how important has it been for you to maintain that even whilst evolving as a popular name in the industry?
So Anuj, I believe with every character I play, I like to break my previous image and play and build a new image with every film. That's what I've been doing all this while. And it's not that I have not played larger than life characters, but even when I play that, it is to my sensibility. So I've done a film like Avane Srimannarayana. I'm going to do a film like film called Richard Anthony, which is a larger than life character, but it will be in my style. But at the same time, as soon as I do it, I'll break that and I'll do something very small, so that people don't fix one image that okay, Rakshit is this, because that's a failure of an artist, I believe, if that happens. So every time my goal is to break an image and build a new one. And sometimes it is simple, sometimes it is probably not simple as you say.
Hmm.
Uh, but otherwise, I think I give complete credit to my to the place I'm born and brought up. I'm from Udupi, and probably the local culture there, and in the environment where I've grown up, where we have, we have taught to be simple in a certain way. Yeah.
And I think that's what really resonates a lot. And I think even for Kannada cinema, it's been such a wonderful year as well. Again, I mean, last year was brilliant. Obviously, I mean, of course, you had KGF, you had Kantara, you had 777 Charlie, which did really well. But even this year, we've had really um, different dynamic films do really well. Like you had this Hostel film, which I thought was very interesting. Then I watched another wonderful film, which was doing its rounds at the film festivals called Hadine Lentu, 17ers. Hadine Lentu was Prithvi Konanur's film. Um,
Oh,
it was wonderful to see like
Hadine
this sort of,
Lentu.
yeah, it was very good. I was absolutely mesmerized to sort of see the styles of cinema evolving. But I think for you, how satisfying is it to see the growth that Kannada cinema is now having, generally across the globe? And what do you think can really contribute towards this growth on storytelling rather than it kind of getting carried away into becoming just another movie making machinery, like let's say how other industries have become?
See, I think that exists in every industry, including Kannada. I mean, people want to churn out many more commercial films, and they think that that's the right source of making money in films. But I also believe that film should be should be a good balance between art and the commercial aspect. It should be commercially viable too. Need not be, every film need not make 100 crores or 150 crores, but commercially it should be viable. But at the same time, not losing its artistic value. Uh, and I'm very proud of how Kannada cinema is doing that way, because when we entered the industry 12 years back, it was not so. And there are many filmmakers who have come and been a part of this change, right from
Mm.
Pawan Kumar Lucia, and then Anup Bandari. After that, Raj came in, Rishabh started doing films. So there are many filmmakers who are responsible, for this growth, and I'm happy that now their assistants are coming and making films. For example, Hostel Udguru
Mm.
was the whole team actually worked under Pawan Kumar during Lucia.
Right.
So, and people who worked under me are doing films like Rahul PK did Sakutumba Samita. If you have not watched it, please do watch it. It is
Okay.
on Amazon. It is on Geo. It's a beautiful film. And Chandrajit and Abhijit Mahesh, both from my team, are doing films called Bachelor Party and Ibbandi Tabbida Iliyali. And Sumant did Mithya, which was showcased in Mumbai Film Festival.
Mm.
There are a couple of more filmmakers, doing good films, which is not released yet. But I believe the future of Kannada cinema is bright, because I can see at least 5 to 6 filmmakers, new filmmakers, who are joining you know the crowd.
The teams, yeah, for sure, definitely. There's some wonderful pieces of cinema out there. Even of course, when we were talking about mainstream films, there was another movie I watched called Ghost, which was also very fun to watch. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was such a wonderful experience. I think also this year, if we look generally, चाहे Hindi ले लो, Hindi cinema ले लो, of course, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam. There's been so many different romances that have really done well. I think, specifically in South, though, there's three particular films that I have noticed across different languages that have really showcased, the sort of idea of doomed romance. I watched a film yesterday in Malayalam called Phoenix, which has a sort of strand about a tragic love story. Then I watched another Telugu film, which kind of has another tragic love story called Baby. And now obviously side A and side B in Kannada. Um, Tell me, I mean, I'm sure this is not intentional, but I would love to know what do you think it might be? Perhaps as someone who has obviously grown up watching and consuming a lot of cinema, what do you think it is about tragic love stories, especially, during this post-pandemic era we're living in? Why do you think it still resonates with a lot of audiences?
I mean, I think tragic love. There's always been tragic love stories right from Devdas, days. And they've always been some epic sort for some reason. Um, I I I personally believe that these films should come from somebody's heart. In the sense, it should be a soulful, like what I have seen Hemanth Rao directing this film. I have seen Hemanth Rao working on this film, and I know how much this film means to him. Uh, so because I have seen him working, I know this the way he was working. I know it has come from his heart, and only then, uh, you know, this kind of product can come out.
Yeah.
And it becomes an epic, on a longer run. It doesn't. Sapta Saagaradaache Ello is not just a film. I believe it's not just a film which you just watch it in theater and just forget. You Once you watch the film, you carry both Manu and Priya home, and they are with you always. So uh, uh, there's always been a tragic love story. I mean, take Romeo Juliet, take Heer Ranja,
Mm.
Laila Majnu. Most of them are tragic love stories, and
Mm.
these love stories only become epic. I think India, or just not India, I think Asia only has a very soft corner for tragic love stories. I
Mm.
mean, Juliet is from the West, so even see across the globe.
Sure. And again, I'm glad you mentioned Devdas actually, because मुझे actually वो थोड़ा सा feeling आई थी. Not necessarily Devdas, but I'm sure if you've seen Anurag Kashyap's Devdi.
Devdi, yeah.
Huh. So I think the moment that Manu has with Surabhi in the film, it really reminded me of that sort of bond, that rapport that Abhay Deol had with Kalki Kekla in that film. There was that whole sense of Devdas and Chandramukhi as well. I mean, was that actually ever a reference point for you? I would love to know as an actor.
Uh, I'm not sure about Hemant, but when I heard the story, I definitely had this in mind that this is a modern day Devdas kind. But I'm not sure if Hemant has thought about it. I remember asking him once, but then he just smiled. He didn't answer. But then I obviously, because of the story, like the simple knot is definitely, it reminds you of Devdas, right?
Hmm. And another very interesting observation I noticed as well, like inside B, I found that it was a lot darker in terms of the lighting, in terms of the gradient as well. Like there was a lot of blues, there was a lot of, I mean, not blues, there was a lot of
Red
blacks, reds,
accent, yeah, yeah,
orange, yellow, like different types of dark colors. Whereas with the first part, it was a lot more blue. Like you
yeah,
could see a lot more blue. It was trying to resonate with the sea and the whole sense of freedom and liberty. When you are as an actor are working with such technical class, when you are working in under such circumstances where gradients and lighting have such a huge cinematic impact, how do you think that influences your performance as well as an artist when you express yourself?
to be frank, I don't think about all that. I know, I know it's happening. I know, people are playing. The director has an idea, and the cinematographer is executing it. I can see that, happening around me. But when I act, obviously, I don't keep all that in my mind. I mean, that is cinematographer's job. To show me in a certain way. I just have to be the character. But I think because there is a filmmaker in me, sometimes I understand when they play around with close-ups, or the wide shots, or the mid. I understand how much energy to give there.
Hmm.
Obviously, in close-ups, you give little lesser energy and play with more of emotions and your eyes. Whereas in wide shots, you use your body completely. All that I understand,
Hmm.
but more than that, I really don't think so. I can concentrate on on the technicalities because I'm busy with myself,
Right.
getting inside the character. Yeah,
It's
being in.
fascinating. I think that's why it makes our job as like journalists and as reviewers so much more interesting, because I think sometimes, kabhi kabhi ek artists intentionally kuch karte nahi hai, because I feel like sometimes spontaneity
हाँ,
really helps to bring out that artist in you, है ना? तो
yeah.
आपके लिए, आप in fact आपके journey में कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि you've just randomly done something spontaneously and it's worked out, magically on screen? कभी कभी ऐसा हुआ है आपके साथ?
हाँ, डेफिनेटली हुआ है. मतलब I remember there is a scene in Side A especially, and there's a scene where me and Priya, we meet for the last time before I go to the jail, under the subway.
Oh.
And yeah, so I remember Rukmini, who played Priya's character, she telling me that during that scene, at one point, I held her cheeks like that, and that made her cry. Until then, the tears were not coming out. But then, as soon as I held her cheeks in between, automatically it made her cry. So now, obviously, I didn't plan it that way, but sometimes it happens. But in my case, mostly I do a small rehearsal in my mind. I'm actually aware of each and every expressions I give, or even the small details. But there are times when I just let loose, in the sense, sometimes I don't like planning, depending on the scene or the shots. And things have definitely, like, I would have imagined some way, and in my mind I would have rehearsed in some way, but then as soon as I do it physically, it's something different than what I had imagined, and it worked really well for the scene. There are times when Hemanth, there are times when Hemanth has actually cut off few scenes from the film because because of the performance in some of the scenes. Like he few of the expressions were so deep that he thought the message what was conveying in the next few scenes are already conveyed here. So he's taken off those scenes. I mean, there are instances like that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think also a really important aspect is where, see, we've seen this whole concept of a rich boy falling in love with a poor girl, or vice versa before. वो हमने देखा है. अमीर गरीब के बीच में एक प्यार का स्टोरी हमने देखा है बहुत बार. But ये काफी एक नया twist है. It's like, for example, चाहे आप White Tiger ले लो, the Netflix film, or even if you take a Parasite, in the West as well. I feel like capitalism को लेके एक love story capitalism के sort of के बीच में एक enroll करना, I think वो काफी नया है. I mean, for me at least, in sort of Indian cinema.
Right. Yeah.
It's a different aspect. I mean, again, when it talks about capitalism and how, again, it's always the lesser financially able people who suffer because of the rich and because of corruption. I think for you to really explore and be that beacon of voice that in a way revolts against that, एक बगावत है आपकी उनके प्रति, तो वो आपके लिए कितना एक वो फायर कहाँ से आया था आप में? Actually, has there ever been a point in your life where you've also wanted to fight the system and go beyond the sort of paradigms that we have in society?
Always, in the sense, not against the system, but at least in the field of cinema, or where I am working, there are preconceived notion that these kind of films don't work, these kind of films work. But then I've always gone against and made films which is my which makes sense to me. Up to that, I have revolted, but not above that, against the system and stuff. But yeah, so film is a medium, right, where you can create revolution, through this medium of cinema. And probably I've not reached that place yet, because right now I just want to make films. So Hemanth probably would be the right person to answer that question, because for me, to be frank, I didn't think about all that at all. I just wanted to go through Manu's travel. however Manu is going to travel, I was ready to travel that path. That's all. I have not thought about what am I fighting against, all that.
Sure. And I think because you're also a producer, you've made films also. Like, I mean, when it comes to you being behind the camera, because I think एक producer के तौर पर आपको बहुत सारे decisions लेने पड़ते हैं, क्या commercial चलेगा, क्या commercial नहीं चलेगा, but at the same time आपको वो एक artistic flair भी दिखाना होता है. So how tough is it for you to balance the commercial with the art side of things? And do you feel like you've kind of over time managed to get that correct balance?
Every film is a learning, Anuj, that way. Because when I made Kirik Party, that was the idea where I wanted to do I wanted a commercial success very badly. At the same time, I wanted it to be my kind of film. I did the same with Avane Srimannarayana also, where I wanted to do a commercial film, but it had to be in my style. So balancing the commercial aspect and the artistic value is the most important thing for me when I sign up a film as an actor or as a director or writer. Anyway. But in this film, to be frank, I did not have to use my brains so much, because I trusted Hemanth so much, because I know that Hemanth also looks at cinema that way, that he also wants to balance. He also doesn't want his film to lose money. Ultimately, if you don't make money, then you won't get to make another film. Exactly. Or even people around you also don't get to make another film. It's a huge disappointment, and I've been there once during Ulidavaru Kandanthe and stuff. So obviously none of us want to be in a place where commercially we are not doing well. So yeah, I mean, since I trusted Hemanth completely, and also at the same time I was seeing what he was shooting every day, and I knew there is a commercial value to it. And as soon as you say there is a love story, the film, there is a commercial value to it for sure.
No, definitely. I think it's definitely been a huge, like I said before as well, it's definitely brought a lot more people back into the theaters. I mean, even if you look at Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani in Hindi, I think it's wonderful to see, love stories resurface again on the big screen. But I think when it comes to, again, we were talking about commercial value and all of that, and you wanting that validation per se. When it comes to, like, maybe let's just say a Hindi film industry wanting to adapt your concepts, adapting your films, how do you feel about that, actually? Because I would love to know your perspective on that. Because a lot of people have said that hame remakes nahi dekhna hai, because obviously people want original content nowadays. But then there's also been films that have done well, that have been remade. Kabir Singh is a point in example as well. So how do you feel about remakes, about your films being remade in Hindi?
I mean, at one point it feels great, because it is also one kind of appreciation that your film is good enough where we can remake it and show it to the audience in the north. But I believe the time is going to change, because right now the regional contents have the nationwide audience, and it is only going to increase as we go forward, because of OTT and things like that. So I believe that another 5 years down the line, nobody would look for a remake. We should encourage writers, more than depending on buying remake rights. Because remake rights comes with the value, whereas you can actually make 5 writers sit and pay them good money and probably write a better script.
For sure.
Probably, if you really want to, if you really want that same topic, you can still take the same topic and write a better script.
And also, I think sometimes if a concept might not necessarily resonate with that target audience also. And I think that's where writing a good script comes into play as well, because you need to tailor it to a way which obviously appeals to that target audience.
And most of the times it loses its that aura what it carries, because, for example, now Sapta Saagaradaache Ello, this is written by Hemanth and directed by Hemanth, and probably Hemanth himself can't go and do it again now. because he's traveled that journey once, and that journey is over. If you go and remake it, probably you are only trying to imitate what you have already done. The first time when you did it, it came from the heart. You didn't think too much. I mean, obviously you thought about everything about the film, but the perspective changes, I believe. As soon as you try to remake it, the perspective changes. So some other director coming and understanding the nuances of Sapta Saagaradaache Ello, and trying to recreate it, I believe it's very difficult. I don't think so even Hemanth can repeat it.
For sure, no, definitely. But I think you've mentioned this film quite a few times actually in our interview today, Richard Anthony, which sounds very interesting. You're obviously playing the titular character. What can audiences expect from your craft in that?
Well, Richard Anthony, it's the prequel and sequel of Ulidavaru Kandanthe, my first directorial. So I played a character called Richie in that, and now I'm going to make a film on that character. So it's going to be true to the original, which is Ulidavaru Kandanthe. At the same time, it's going to be larger than life as well. So I'm just playing with the idea of perspectives which I had carried in Ulidavaru Kandanthe. So I'm building on the idea of perspectives to even on to larger and showing a bigger picture of what perspectives can be. But at the same time, it's quite commercial in the sense because the character itself is a gangster from Udupi. So I'm sure you'll like him.
Definitely. It's going from one rough on the edge look to another one. So I think that will be quite interesting to sort of see how.
Yeah, I can't wait to go on flow.
Oh, amazing. Well, look, I think everyone will be really excited for that. But I think on a final note, Rakshit, मैंने आपको कन्नड़ा सिनेमा की ग्रोथ के बारे में पूछा था, and I think ये बहुत सही कहना होगा कि अलग-अलग लेवल के जो फिल्म्स हैं वो उभर के आ रही हैं, as we mentioned as well. We're seeing the cultural sort of rooted stories like Kantara coming. You've also got your pot boilers as well that are there. I mean, you've got your KGFs, you've got Sapta Saagaradaache Ello as well coming. Oh, what sort of stories do you think you personally would like to explore more from Kannada cinema, and anything in the future that you would maybe like to reach out to fresh filmmakers or maybe say to anyone who's watching this who aspire to become filmmakers? What would you like to say to them?
You mean as a producer?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to explore. We had made a film called Kirik Party. Then I would like to explore the new generation, medical or engineering, backdrop story, which we are not aware of right now. Because I'm sure the story what I've told is like 15 years back story. I'm sure the scenarios have changed in engineering colleges or medical colleges. So probably medical college will be more fun. So yeah, and I think we have stopped making horror films. It can be very, very interesting if we can explore that sector beautifully, because horror films have a definite market if it's a good horror film, obviously. And you can make a good horror film. You can make a beautiful horror film. Yeah, and more of Hemanth Rao kind, pure cinema. Where the tool of audio and video. There are so many tools in cinema to tell a story. Somebody should come forward and make use of those tools and make beautiful, give a cinematic experience to the audience.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that's very wonderful points, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds there. But Rakshit, it was so amazing to have this discussion with you. I always enjoy our interviews. Even last time as well for 777 Charlie, it was so wonderful to hear your insights and to see you do such an amazing work. And the fact that we can now call you National Film Award winner, Rakshit Shetty. I mean, God, I mean, ये कितना मतलब ये जो एक वजन होता है ये नेशनल फिल्म अवार्ड का खिताब का, मतलब आपकी जिंदगी में कितना लागू हुआ है एक्चुअली? हाउ डज इट मेक यू फील नाउ दैट व्हेन पीपल आपको एक एड्रेस करते हैं एज नेशनल फिल्म अवार्ड विनर? हाउ डू यू फील अबाउट दैट एक्चुअली?
I mean, the national award I won is for the producer. So for producing 777 Charlie, I give complete credit to Kiran Raj, who made the film first of all, because he deserves much more for the kind of effort and dedication he put in there. At the same time, I'm happy that Paramba has, as a studio, has grown so much. Because we started from short films, with zero budget short films, where then I started making short films with 1.5 lakhs budget, taking money from my friends, and my same friends are investing on feature length films now. So we have had a tremendous growth per se. So I'm really happy for the studio.
Absolutely. Paramba Studios' content are too good. I love even your logo introduction as well. It's so beautiful. It's so traditional as well. And I love that. You embrace identity. And I think that's what's really great about watching your contents as well. And I really do, भगवान करे ऐसे बढ़िया कंटेंट हमें देखने को मिले और हमें आपके साथ इंटरव्यू करने का मौका मिले in the future as well. So thank you so much, Rakshit, for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It was so wonderful to have you. And a huge congratulations on Sapta Saagaradaache Ello, Side A and Side B as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anush. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.